Dabo Swinney is making some huge changes at Clemson. Okay, he fired his offensive line and defensive end coaches. And another thing that he's doing that many Clemson fans have been begging him to do for the last couple of years is finally using the fucking transfer portal. So I read a report from On3 that Clemson offered an offensive tackle named Alan Herron, who's from a Division II school, who's currently ranked as the 4th best offensive tackle in the transfer portal at this moment. That's a huge step in the right direction for Dabo, because that shows that he's now starting to modernize. He's starting to change his philosophy. Because if you remember, in previous years and previous conversations talking to Dabo Swinney about Clemson taking anybody out the transfer portal, he wasn't going for it. But after getting smacked by FSU with Keon Coleman, Jaheim Bell, and Jordan Travis going off, I believe that gave Dabo Swinney a wake-up call that said that, you know what? Just because I'm not going to use the transfer portal isn't going to stop anybody else in this conference from using it. So I need to go ahead and modernize and get with the times. You see, the best coaches in college football are able to adapt. They're able to put their ego aside, even though they may not want to do something, and sacrifice their ego for the betterment of trying to win. And it seems that's the direction that Dabo Swinney is starting to head. Now, this is just one offer that he's given out. There hasn't been reports that he's offered anybody else in the transfer portal. But just the fact that he's offering one of the top offensive tackles in the transfer portal definitely should give you reasons to believe that he's going to be giving out a couple of more offers to a lot more other guys in the portal. You see, the biggest problem with Clemson has been their lack of execution and good performance on the offensive line. The offensive line has plagued them for the last 3 to 4 years. And if Clemson's ever going to get back to being a national championship contender, that offensive line needs to be way better. And it's not like Clemson doesn't already have a talented roster. You see, they only have a couple of holes. And with the transfer portal now, it allows you to fill the small holes that you need to fill a good football team. And now that Dabo Swinney is now starting to look like he's trending towards the direction of being a little bit more involved with trying to get guys out of the transfer portal, it should be a huge reason to be optimistic about the future of Clemson football. And these are changes that had to be made. And the fact that Dabo Swinney is now starting to make these changes, I believe that Clemson, potentially with who they get out of the transfer portal, they could be right in the mix of making it into the 12-team college football playoffs next year. And also, Dabo Swinney doesn't have any more time to continue to be stubborn and build the program in the way that he used to be able to build this program years ago without using the transfer portal. I understand why Dabo wants to build his team mostly through recruiting, because when you build your team through recruiting, you have guys that are committed to the program. You got guys that are more willing to put everything on the line versus guys who you get through the transfer portal. Hell, if they don't start, they pretty much tap out on you. And also, these guys that you bring from the transfer portal, they aren't guys that build your culture. The guys who build your culture are the guys that you bring in from recruiting and you develop for 2 to 3 years. Those are the guys who build up your culture. Dabo Swinney already has a great culture in place at Clemson. So him using the transfer portal, all he's going to be doing is bringing in guys and putting them into an already established culture. You see, with USC, the problem is that they got a bunch of guys through the transfer portal, but they never were able to establish a great culture with Lincoln Riley as their head coach, and that's why this past season went south for them. Dabo Swinney doesn't have to worry about having those same issues. When you already have the culture built and you're not relying on guys through the transfer portal to help build up your culture, you just bring guys in and they fall in line with everything else that's going on in the locker room. These changes are really huge for Clemson in terms of them getting back in the national championship picture. And when you think about FSU, they're really the only team from a talent perspective that really can rival Clemson. And now with Clemson utilizing the transfer portal, they should be able to get back to the top of the ACC. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with the Miami Hurricanes. The Miami Hurricanes are the biggest wild card because they always have talent. The coaching just is never good enough to utilize that talent properly. So Clemson next season, if they can get a couple of big recruits out of the transfer portal, I like their chances of being able to make it back to the top of the food chain in the ACC and being able to get into the 12-team college football playoffs. This is already a really good team. You got Cade Klubnik coming back. You got a couple of vets on that defense coming back as well. You bring in and fill those holes that you have at certain positions of weaknesses that have been holding this program back for the last couple of years. You feel really good about your chances if you're Dabo getting back to the top of the food chain. And plus, with Garrett Riley being his OC, I'm pretty sure he's also telling them, hey, Dabo, like, you hired me to be your OC, and we need more talent. And they just lost a wide receiver to the transfer portal in Bo Allen. So they're going to have to find somebody who can replace him. And why would you just wait 3 to 4 years and try to develop guys who you get via recruiting when you can go in the transfer portal and get an easy fix for that position with a snap of the finger? And plus, they got a really good NIL collective. They got donors that are willing to spend money. May not be the amount of money that the donors at Texas A&M and Texas are willing to throw out, but it's good enough that Clemson should still get back to the level that they used to be when they were competing for national championship with Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. So let me know what you guys think about Dabo Swinney getting rid of his offensive line and defensive end coaches. And also, do you think that Dabo Swinney is really about to modernize and update his philosophy and fully take advantage of the transfer portal now?